Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Lisa Fernandes, and...
I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And welcome to the beaches, baby! We have made it to season 6 of Laverne Shirley, and we got some huge changes ahead of us.
Are they... how huge are we talking here? Are we talking huge changes?
Oh, ginormous, as in we are moving coasts, meeting new people. We would even take a 2+ year jump ahead in the time frame of the show.
Oh my.
So many things are changing. The episode is not quite New York. It was directed by John Tracy, who will direct the next 4 episodes of the show. And it's written by Jeff Franklin. And I do believe Chris has some facts about them.
Yeah. Would you like me to go ahead now, or shall we just jump right in? Because I know we have a lot to cover as we jump into this episode.
Well, I've got a whole lot to tell you guys about how this transition happened, and why it happened, and who it happened to, so to speak. As we covered all the way back in our Shotgun Wedding podcast, things were not going smoothly for the Laverne Shirley gang by the time season 6 rolled around. But things were about to get better. At the tail end of season 5, the show had resecured its familiar Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. time slot once again, a perch they would continue to hold on to for the following 3 seasons. That accomplished, Gary Marshall and ABC circled the show's wagons and decided changes in order to freshen up the show's format. Penny Marshall pitched the notion of the gang moving to New York, as the show had previously visited the state, and they could keep the program blue-collar while reintroducing the group's theatrical dreams and having them explore them in a brand new setting. But Gary Marshall had a warmer locale in mind for the Milwaukee tribe's move: California. He figured that the change in climate and locale would allow them to use a lot of guest stars and to pump up the ratings via that old canard that always seems to work: lots and lots of skin.
Ah, skin. Yes, the Leatherface method.
In the end, he won out, and the girls joined Edna and Frank in California during the first episode of season 6, quickly followed by the boys and Carmine. The girls' near-palatial split-level apartment isn't the only change the girls are forced to face as they move to California. Magically, we have somehow opened this new season in 1965, and These Skirts and the Beatles are the latest rages. This move was enacted according to what I've read, and what Gary Marshall has said, and what Penny Marshall has said, because they wanted to avoid addressing the Kennedy assassination. So, we lose about 2.5 years of time in the girls' lives since last time we saw them. It was roughly 1962 or 1963.
Mm-hmm.
Once they settle into Laurel Vista, everyone experiences a shift in professions. The girls go from capping bottles to wrapping presents at Bardwell's, which is a department store. The boys go from driving trucks to selling ice cream and running a talent agency, which is called Squiggy Talent Agency of Burbank, aka Stab.
I was gonna say that's very in, I assume, with the In Cold Blood / Corman / kind of early New Hollywood set.
I must remind you that the boys actually did say in a live set during their tour that they had a script involving a crossover between In Cold Blood and the Cunninghams.
Right, yeah.
Where we quote unquote kill them.
Yeah. In quote, we slaughter the whole Cunningham family at the end.
yeah. God bless David Lander wherever he is.
Oh, we love
His
you,
memory
David.
be a blessing.
Oh.
We miss him so much. And Carmine goes from hoofing it at his own dance studio to performing singing telegrams for cash. Frank and Edna, meanwhile, make a more lateral move. They open up a branch of the Cowboy Bill's restaurant franchise, and they go from slinging pizzas to slinging ribs and chicken. 2 new regular characters are introduced to fans during season 6. Leslie Easterbrook as saucy actress, model, singer, and dancer Rhonda Lee, and hunky stuntman Sonny St. Jacques as portrayed by Ed Marinaro.
Quite the tall drink of water there.
Yeah. Yes, Ed portrayed Laverne's cousin Antonio last season, and no, the similarity and resemblance between the 2 men will never, ever, ever be referenced.
What are you talking about? They look entirely different. What do you, I don't know what this
Yes,
whole similarity.
Wink,
Yeah.
wink.
Cousin Tony.
Wink.
That is, unless we're seeing the whole show now through Laverne's eyes, and she really wanted to get with that cousin.
Well, like she did try to get with him, don't you remember?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that she did, and now she just
And then
basically
she realized he was her cousin,
and mentally
went,
she
"Oh,
puts
yeah."
puts it onto every she puts that face on every man that she encounters now.
Oh God, oh Lord, don't make things harder than they should be.
Hey-o.
Oh. Sunny becomes Laverne's new boyfriend by the season's 4th episode. While Sunny will only stick with the show for 11 of season 6's 22 episodes, we'll address that when we reach that bridge. We're gonna address it big time. Ronda Lee becomes an increasingly major character on the show, even more so as we careen towards season 8.
Yeah, God. Oh no, I thought that was a dream. You mean there's actually a season 8 coming up?
Interestingly, this shift in location and the addition of these new characters actually did work. This totally caused the show's ratings to rebound. It brought the show back into the Nielsen Top 20. Season 6 would finish at number 20 in the spring of 1981. So that worked. In the end, it was a move that worked, and I don't know if it was the time slot improvement. I don't know if it was people wanted to see them do something fresh, but it did improve things around the house, so to speak. And this is what the episode is about. Change comes to Navtastic in the form of a roughly 2.5-year time jump and a series of big moves. First, we learn that Edna and Frank have moved to Burbank, California to open their own branch of Cowboy Bill's, a country and western themed restaurant. Then the girls learn that the entire bottle capping line will be fired due to Shots embracing automation, instead of receiving promotions that they thought they would get. Choosing not to take a demotion and a pay cut to wash trucks, they quit Shots with a defiant squirt of ketchup to Mr. Shots' portrait. Left jobless, they decide to change their lives and move out to California with Frank and Edna's assistance. They end up traveling cross-country with Lenny and Squiggy, who received a raise at the brewery, on their vacation in the back of their newly purchased ice cream truck, having sold all of their furniture for $18. What do you think of this episode?
I'm still in a bit of shock, in a sense. There's a clear jump overall. Like, this is the type of episode that if you've been going through the series as I have, and then going over the episodes again and again and again, because we're doing watch-alongs, I'm doing these compilations, doing the top 5 episodes, etc. This is just like... It's weird. It's like a reboot of the show using the same talent rather than necessarily feeling like a sequel to season 5. And it's kind of like how we talk about legacy sequels today, like the new Halloween and things of that nature, or the new Ghostbusters. It feels like that to me, where the sets are all still the same, but there's something just tonally, the directing, the writing, and even just the way that the characters feel in some ways kind of more unleashed. Like, I'm not sure if there was like some change in the writer's room that happened that shifted things, or even just the show running. Like, the way that Gans and Rothman kind of ran the show, like, did that, shift, especially because the two of them were doing other different shows, and they were, them and Gary were, diversifying. And I mean, Gary at this point was probably getting ready to go do Young Doctors in Love at this point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it just feels like there is this injection of new, and it's not unwelcome. I would say in some respects that it's because it's very good. I love that the girls in particular, we'll get into the pros and cons and stuff in later, but I appreciate that the girls are way snappier because because it comes off as mature, not bad. It comes off as like grown up. They know that they kind of know their boundaries, I think, a little more. They're more confident in themselves. And so, so anyway, that's my long sort of reaction to it. But it's going to be interesting whether we get to, do I like it or not? Because I'm still trying to figure out where that lands.
You can tell that they've actually, grown up, like, say, 3 years this time. I have a lot of mixed opinions about how they worked this move, how they chose to do this move. I really think the New York move was a better idea overall, because the biggest problem I have with the California move is that the show loses its blue-collar edge. There's less of a feeling like the girls are struggling for money, that at any moment, they could be out in the streets, that this is like a grimy, working-class neighborhood, all they have is each other. In California, everything is warmer and sunnier, and the apartment is way nicer, and it feels like they're not struggling to meet their ends meet the way they do in earlier episodes. But in another way, I really like this move because they grow up a lot. The girls really grow up, except for Shirley, who gets a little bit flanderized. Somewhere around the middle of season 6 and season 7. Laverne does too. They decide to pound the "look, Laverne is slutty" button really hard. And I hate using that term, but they literally call her Port Laverne in a couple episodes.
Yikes.
So,
Yikes. I haven't gone there yet. Oh my God.
Carmine refers to her as Port Laverne in about like 6 episodes. So that happens. They pound a little bit too hard on that. The boys really get to grow up a lot and change a lot. Lenny especially takes on a lot of maturity and responsibility. We haven't gotten there yet. That happens more in season 7. But everybody changes and grows up. Really, the only person who suffers with this move is Carmine, who gives up his completely underutilized tap dance school, his whole business, to move to be with Shirley, and there's no extra hard for motion in their relationship, and he makes a terrible career move because now he's going to be running around, singing telegrams for cash instead of running a school, which they hopelessly underutilized in the show. They incredibly underutilized it. I don't know why they didn't do any episodes about that. You could have put on different kinds of musicals or dance recitals. They could have sculpted at least one episode a season around it after he buys it. They just don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
that's annoying.
The Bad Girls episode could have used it even.
Yeah, exactly. We could have even used it more in the Shots Talent Show episodes.
Oh goodness, yes.
Yeah, so it's annoying. It's annoying. I actually, it leaves you feeling bad for Carmine in a way.
Yeah, we'll see how my sympathies lie.
Yeah. I will say this much though: Penny Marshall looks fantastic. She looks amazing in the season. The next 2 seasons, she looks boffo. Her hair is beautiful. She looks on point, fabulous. Everybody looks good, but she looks great. I'll be completely shallow and say that. But yeah.
I mean,
how do you feel?
It might be shallow, but it's true.
How do you feel about us suddenly losing like 2.5 years of development here?
I don't like that. The time jump is it's one of those I can see why it was done, but it doesn't work. So there's a couple of things why it doesn't work for me. The way the production design in the show was doing that year-to-year progression was really good and gradual.
Yeah.
And I think jumping into 1965 or 65-ish, because I think it's in the intro when we get to episode 3, the intro says Happy New Year 1965, which I think assumes. Yeah. So that means it should be probably it probably is like, you figure like late 64 when they get there.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But it's not winter outside though in Milwaukee. It's summer.
But this is Laverne and Shirley land where weather makes no goddamn sense. So I'm not gonna.
I was literally just having a conversation about this, about how the laws of nature are not obeyed in Milwaukee ever.
It's like Portland.
Yeah.
So there are certain things I would have liked to have seen them tackle. Perhaps even seen Lenny get out of the reserves because Vietnam is starting to heat up.
Yeah.
Or he's wanting to get ready to go to war, and then he ends up realizing, or finding out that he can't because of some, problem that he has that, is like, you're not fit for combat.
Yeah. Which is possible. He did like fall out of a window. His leg could have been poorly healed.
Exactly. Or he just fell out another window at the right time. Or, make that a different episode where, another out the window episode where he gets injured because the girls don't want him getting killed in Vietnam.
I do want it noted, though, that Michael McKean thinks Lenny did go to Vietnam. He's like, well, if Lenny lived through Vietnam, I guess he would be my age. It's the things that he has said aloud.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. But yeah, honestly, the way they handle it is awkward. We could have had a great Beatlemania episode.
Absolutely.
We don't get one.
Right.
Just suddenly, oh my god, the girls are into the Beatles. Look, it's 1965. Look, they're wearing boots and miniskirts. It's 1965. Look, Laverne's more sexually forward. It's 1965. Even though it's harder for her to be even more sexually forward than she was.
Well,
Even
we'll get to that with another episode coming up, though.
multiple other episodes. Oh, you haven't even seen the episode.
Oh God.
Even Shirley's like, don't you call me in the middle of the night. How dare you call me in the middle of the night to a strange man?
Oh God. That's right, and it's Frank. Was it Frank something? Yeah. I have the note here. It's the that's right. Frank, you have some nerve calling me in the middle of the night, Frank Zippo. It's like, Shirley, this is Frank DeFazio. Oh, Frank, hi.
Oh, vey. She would recognize the voice of the man who's basically her father. I made one specific note that the aspect ratio on season 6 DVDs are awful. To me, that was off. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but is it a you thing too?
I didn't seem to have that much of an issue with the aspect ratio, but it could just be that they did lens changes that made things warp a little weird.
Possible. Yeah, so we hear that the move has happened. Laverne gets in one more, she calls me honey. Which is extra sweet.
It's super cute. I love that it's been years now. Like, it's been at least 2 years, and it still means something. I adore that.
Well, apparently it's been even more than that, because Edna and Frank celebrate their 5th anniversary this season.
Oh my God, what is Laverne and Shirley time? Oh God.
You have experienced this pain in about 3 episodes. We'll see people with huge butterfly collars sitting in the audience in Cowboy Bill.
I'm at the point that, like, look, anyone listening, if anybody wants to argue about, oh, this takes place during this time, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't care one bit. I just want this to end. I'd rather deal with the Resident Evil timeline, and if you know the Resident Evil timeline, you know how f***ed up that is.
Nothing is real, time is memorable, and everything takes place in the black hole. Anyway. Oh, God. So
that explains why everything sucks.
Hey, you liked this episode, if I remember correctly. Anyway.
No. I meant everything's in a black hole. That's why everything sucks.
Oh, everything in the world sucks. I get you now. Okay. Okay. I love that the girls cover for each other here. I love the sisterhood here. I love the ridiculous interplay where Laverne still wants this guy there, but Shirley's like, nope. They have to bed, and then they go into work, and Lenny and Squiggy are looking at pornographic Viewmaster reels.
Which is so them, and I love Laverne's reaction to it. It's the whole, like, comedy of this element. It's the jokes overall are bawdier, and it's like they are pretty much through the gate, like, we're going to be more adult. But I like that it shows they've grown up, you know? And clearly that's what they wanted. They wanted these characters to grow up.
Yeah. Notice that Lenny's trying to look into the lenses from the front. As if you can see them.
Yeah.
While Laverne's looking at the Viewmaster reel.
Well, I mean, I used to try and do that too when I was like 6. I was 6.
I did that when I was tiny, yeah. That bit about frogs in the Man Act. Wow.
Oh my God.
That's up there with that Birmingham bombing joke, and there's going to be an upcoming Kent State joke in 2 seasons.
Oh God. Some checks and balances didn't go through, and it's just, I accept that this was 1980. Some of these jokes are, they're, this is a time when Ralph Bakshi ruled the midnight cinema, I mean, because Wizards had come out by this point, right? And his Lord of the Rings was coming out pretty soon.
Yeah,
and,
I think so.
So.
Yeah. 2 things to note in this scene. Lenny cuts the crust off of Squiggy's sandwiches.
Super cute. Love it.
And they both finally have lunchboxes.
Yes.
They're Hopalong Cassidy lunchboxes. Which is extra adorable when you see an episode that shall be coming up soon. There's some really good episodes ahead of us. Several of them. For once, Lenny's the filthy one, encouraging them to sit there and look at Snow White and the Seven Escaped Comics.
Yeah, it's Lenny's been interesting so far in season 6. I will say we'll come back to this. I think when we get to a much more Lenny specific moment. But yeah, I just want to. But let's just put a pin on that. We're gonna pin that to the board.
Why, you think he has more of an edge?
It's more that I feel his character is more proactive, but I see less into his mind.
Interesting.
This comes up more in episodes 3 and 4 of this season, because that's what we've watched so far. For those keeping track at home, we do these in batches, as we say.
Yes. As we say, we do them about batches of like 4. What's up?
No longer batches of 8, thank God.
No. Well, I wanted to get to certain episodes, as I said before. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
The line, "You just don't know him, Laverne. He's too good for me." The fact that Laverne thinks Lenny's too good to hang out with Squiggy. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
After years of going, he's your only friend.
Mm-hmm.
The two of a feather. That's interesting in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I guess the acceptance that Lenny has of his situation feels a little odd.
Tragic?
Yeah, it does. I guess and it's also, I guess, as we'll get through this, I feel it's been awesome. I mean, because we'll get to, David just annihilates the scene. And David overall, from what I've seen of season 6, David is like just stood up to the plate. It's almost sort of like the writers and even I think the cast members saw how David was getting so good in the last season, especially with like Testing, Duke of Squigman, and You Push Me Too Far, and being able to, when you are a colleague, a co-star of someone that talented, you start to get to the point of give him the line, give him this, give him a spot. We need more for him. And so I wonder if that's part of what it is, but it's just interesting that we've had this discussion in the past where McKeon felt that Lenny was a prop essentially for Squiggy. This is finally where I feel it. I never really felt that before until this season.
Yeah. Which is interesting. Because season 6 and 7 is where Lenny starts to become more himself. At least in my opinion. We haven't gotten those episodes yet. We will. Well, as Michael usually says about Lenny, he is the dummy who thinks the dummy is a genius. And the dummy is Squiggy. So, to paraphrase him. But the teasing here is fun. The girls think they're going to get something, and then tragedy descends.
Yeah, my mother's whisper when we watched this episode, she was like, oh, I knew it. It was very cute.
Oh, dear, that's dear, dude. Bless your mom. Oh, gosh. And they rebel against, this demotion, which they're the only people to be offered it because they do their seniority.
Mm-hmm.
And they squirt ketchup everywhere, and it's great.
Yeah, fantastic callback. It's like, don't you dare. There you go. Here's mustard in your eye.
Yeah. And then they say, screw it, goodbye shots, we'll figure out a new way. And we get extremely ancient B-roll of them doing the Chanel Schlemazel walk on the way out wearing outfits that do not even closely resemble what they are wearing in that particular scene.
It's basically B-roll from the first season for the intro, and they just reuse it here because they didn't want to. I mean, who the heck wants to go to yet another, do another, run out and got to get the B-roll, and some people just don't want to run out and get that B-roll. If you don't got the B-roll, then who cares?
They decided they didn't. I guess they didn't say they either didn't have the budget or the time to run out to the brewery that they filmed the exteriors at and just grab one more shot of them in actual 60s clothing. Doing this because very much doesn't match. And it's really weird to see, but it's sweet and cute. And the obvious overdubs of goodbye shots and everything. Shirley's piggy bank collection.
Cutest thing ever.
Laverne's dream of Fredericks of Hollywood and the other side of the spectrum. And the two of them realizing this is the last time we really see them struggle when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
California, money is less of a struggle. It becomes more about relationships. It becomes more about friendships. The only time I can ever really think of them struggling when it comes to cash is in Welcome to Burbank and a little bit in an episode called Bardwell Caper, where they try to preserve their jobs after telling off their boss. So I can't really think of money ever being a huge struggle for them after this. It goes mostly about interpersonal stuff. Kill it! Laverne has that whole scene. That whole bit is great. That is a great bit.
For those who haven't seen the episode or just who need a refresher, it's where Shirley gets the bright idea of going to California. And she's like, can't you see it? And it's like, look, and points. And Laverne thinks she's pointing at something on her shirt. And it's like, well, what is it? Kill it. And yeah, oh, it's brilliant. The whole, their dynamic through this entire episode, and really this whole like kind of pseudo two-parter, is perfect.
Yeah. The girls are firing on all cylinders. Everybody's trying really, really hard. So we get, I guess it's a joint fantasy the girls are having here.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of joint fantasies in season 6 and 7, and it's hard to tell who's dreaming sometimes, which is fun. We'll get there. Mrs. Fish Doctor.
Mm-hmm. We get
dreams.
Yeah, we get that. We get was it Dr. Casey Ben, world-renowned fish doctor.
I was the one who pointed out who one of these famous actors is.
Yes, I had to look this up. But yes, these are. Shall I go ahead and go into?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Jeff Severson as Mr. Fish Doctor. Football. He was well known for playing much sports ball. He was just coming off his time with the St. Louis Cardinals a few years earlier. But after his time with the Pigskin, he got to be working as an occasional actor. His first TV appearance in film was in North Dallas 40, the football satire, rather fitting, that was directed by Ted Kotcheff just before First Blood.
Oh, interesting.
And if anybody also is thinking, like, why don't you mention this? Like, yes, I know he did Weekend at Bernie's. I haven't seen Weekend at Bernie's. I don't care to see Weekend at Bernie's. Whatever.
Yes. It's all right. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's just, well, then I heard that there was a sequel, and it's like, how the hell does that work?
They put him in a freezer, then they took him out. I'm not sure how it worked. That sequel.
Anyway, after this episode, though, Jeff Severson got a little guest spot in Lou Grant, a few things here and there, such as Soap Opera Man and 9.5 Weeks, of all things, and various multiple DTV schlock flicks in the 90s and aughts after that. Yes. So then there's Mr. Tan Lifeguard, who comes out as Laverne's boyfriend. It's Fred Dreyer, or Hunter, as people know. He had actually, looks like around this same time, had just been at the Super Bowl for the Los Angeles Rams. So he had done some work on various TV shows in the early 80s. Clearly, he took a liking to the acting thing. He actually was one of the finalists for the lead in Cheers, which he lost out to Ted Danson. But he did appear in a few episodes after that, because I guess I liked him. Now, obviously, most TV fans will remember him as Rick Hunter, detective. Sadly for me, not the Robotech one, but, he was in the show from 84 till 91. That was pretty much his big show. He even directed 5 episodes of it, which is pretty cool. And then after the 80s, he also was a producer and star of Land's End in the 90s, which has the ridiculous combo of co-stars with him of Jeffrey Lewis and Tim Thomerson.
Oh, that's interesting.
I need this now.
I have never seen that. That's interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, he's been a working actor off and on. He was even in Travis Knight's Bumblebee movie a few years ago.
Oh, cool. Good for him.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have this wonderful fantasy sequence with these two, Mr. Fish Doctor, Mr. Tan Lifeguard, the not using protection joke, or the birth control failing. Yeah.
You told me you were going to stop at 4 little lifeguards.
Three little lifeguards, Laverne. What happened to that? And then it's like, mind your own business, Cheryl. Yeah.
Passion got away with it. Laverne gives birth to all boys. Shirley gives birth to all girls. Shirley gets her collie, her dream collie.
Oh yeah, that runs off suddenly.
Yeah. Life turns out obviously differently for them than in the dream, depending on how you take on or accept, or if you consider canon, the reunion skit that happened at the second reunion, which we will eventually get to. But it's amusing to me that Laverne envisions herself as this mom, this team of rough and tumble boys whom she can barely control. And she keeps having them anyway. And then she has her little perfectly organized Muse of Pin girls, and it's just so typically them, the way they see life.
Laverne knows it's going to be tough, and Shirley thinks it's going to be perfect. Yeah,
that's them. It's them in a nutshell. Even with the handsome guy next to them having fun, it's still either completely perfect or kind of disastrous.
So are we going to talk about the big Hollywood producer?
Yes. Who played him?
So him
Tell
was this was an interesting one. This guy was Don Potter. It was actually hard to find details about him. He was more of a theater player to the point that you actually can find out that he was one of the only cast members of The Moose Murders, the infamous one-night-only Broadway flop in 1983.
Oh my goodness. I have heard of that, but I have not researched that, so that's fascinating. Yeah, that's fascinating.
In terms of other TV, he was also in an episode of Happy Days, a spot on Columbo, ended up as a misc voice actor on The Richie Rich and Scooby-Doo show. Now, his only feature film was a film called Double Exposure, an early 80s very Giallo-esque thriller that I absolutely need to track down.
I've actually watched that. It's very good.
It looks very good. Yeah, good. Thank you for letting me know. I will now doubly go track it down.
There you go.
But yes, that was Don Potter. It's a really funny spot. I love him in this. He's very hammy. And
Yes.
and that's actually the thing I like about all three of these actors in the dream scene is that they are just lovably into it. Like my mom pointed out how the two guys are just 100% going into like the fake slow motion dancing, which I could just imagine on, the audience was just cracking up about. And there's a liveliness to it. And Don Potter, as the big Hollywood producer, I love, he like flashes them practically the shirt. And it's delightful. And then it's got the casting couch, there's the evil things, the box of evil things, and their stage names, Betsy Bright and Lola Lust, and they swap.
Yes. Yes.
Was it just me, or did the red wig look like Shirley's old hair when Cindy dyed it?
Yes. Yes, it did. It kind of reminded me also of when they were dressed like hookers in Yo! I Be in Pictures.
Oh, God, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, how do you say it?
Yeah.
Lana or Lana?
Lana! Oh, God. The double theme song reference is enough of a crime that I think Jeff should be put in the Hague. We're here to make your dreams come true. I loved when they come out of this fantasy. Lenny immediately tries to involve Laverne in his argument with Squiggy about individually wrapping their marshmallows.
Adorable.
I needed more dumbwaiter stuff in season 5.
Absolutely.
Now we're not going to have any more.
Ugh.
Boo. But that's adorable. I don't want to drive to Canada. It's all uphill.
That joke, it's the kind of dumb, like funny dumb joke it takes you a second to get, and then it's like, oh God, he would think that, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yes. It's innocent. It's very innocent. And in the best of ways.
Also, that
way.
obvious Carmine dub is obvious. That looped line on the B-roll. It's like...
Yeah. We're obviously missing footage. Here. What happens in this scene is a crime. They take a perfectly beautiful montage, which in syndication and in the original broadcast edit was the Beatles' Yesterday.
Yeah, it's a really, really good version.
Yes. And in the DVD version, it is basically a version of In My Life, played by the generic-y band.
Generic band for all your generic needs.
Yeah. Oh Lord, my note on this is sad montage, which is sadder with the real music.
Yeah,
that's my actual note on that.
I mean, I'll argue that it's not the greatest montage to begin with.
I think it's nice. I think it works well with the lyrics.
So. It works well. Yeah. I'm a montage. I'm sorry. I'm a montage snob. Okay, you gotta work a little harder after the masterpieces of like the Devil's Rejects and
Godfather.
and Godfather. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. God.
Of course. Just think of it this way. Twice. It happened twice in Godfather and Godfather 2.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage to pull it off twice? That's greatness.
That's Francis. That's Francis.
Yeah, Francis being Francis. Scorsese did it in Goodfellas, unless I'm fully nuts.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's done so many. And again, that's a guy that like he's the artiste with the montage, The Departed, and The Raging Bull, and and The Last Temptation of Christ, Kundun. That whole last 10 minutes. Oh,
Yes.
God, I cry every time. So powerful.
Aw. See, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Yeah, my note on that, by the way, but on the kissing that you pointed out, by the way, is Carmine and Shirley with a bad ADR, making out. Eddie's going for it.
Mm-hmm.
The acting.
Yep.
The acting.
The
Oh,
acting. The acting. But I did notice. I will also quickly interject. I did notice on my first viewing that Carmine was already planning to save up his money and move. That was it's in the dialogue, and it's super sweet. It was like,
It's cute.
why couldn't we have had this Carmine the whole time, where he's like, I'm gonna miss you, I need you, you're everything to me. Like, I'm a I want romanticism. Give me that.
Yeah. Season 4 is such a bugaboo that ruins Carmine in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Yeah, but I know you like season 4 less than me. I like it less. I like it more for its individual episodes than much strung together. But yeah.
Yeah, collectively that kicked me in the balls.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Yeah. But they unkicked them in season 5. You loved season 5. Unkicked them pretty good.
Well, yeah, because season 5 also, I think, kicked a lot of the problems with season 4 to the curb too.
There you go.
It defended me.
Go.
And then it gave me an ice pack and said, here you go.
Yeah.
For you
Yeah, you go.
you nuts.
There you go. We have to admit, the empty apartment is incredibly sad to see.
Yeah, that hits hard. And especially, as they're pulling the last few things out, it's like there's it almost feels more bare because they show the last few things. Because it doesn't feel as empty when there's just something. There's a little luggage, there's a couple of tables, you know.
Yeah. Notice there's an empty bird cage, poor Dwayne and Eddie.
Yeah, it's, time passes on and all that. But I did like Laverne putting the cage on her head and looking like a certain evil within boss to me. I was like, cage head, new evil within boss. Future me, go ahead and put a picture of the keeper there, please. Thank you.
Yep. They sold all that furniture for $18. And Carmine's protecting those chairs because they're worth 75 cents.
Yeah.
There is something also that's wonderful about Laverne just leaving that L on the door.
I kind of did something like that once, actually.
Really?
When I moved. The last time we moved, I was filming my first live-action short film, and I had access to the place because the owner of the house was gonna sell it, and we decided we weren't gonna stay there because it was pretty beat up, and I was able to go back and get a couple of pickup days of getting some footage there and some other scenes and stuff that were needed. There was a bedroom where a very special little forum that my friends and I made was kind of created in that space. And I just left this piece of paper in there that said basically that extent. I'm not going to name it just because I don't want anybody trying to track it down or anything. But you would catch the reference. I know, Lisa. So
yeah,
it was.
Sweet.
But yeah, I love that she did it. It's great. And do you figure that's one of the writers, by the way, when they're out on the stoop that gets a kiss that's passing by as an extra?
Possibly, I'm pretty sure it might be because they just It's a 2-second scene where she grabs somebody just to kiss them goodbye because Carmine and Shirley are making out like there's no tomorrow. Yeah,
Cheryl looks pretty kissed out by the time. Sort of like, Carmine, the heart is willing, but the lips are squishy and sore.
Yeah. Sore. She can barely walk. Both of them can barely walk by the end of there. And there come the boys in their ice cream truck. The ice cream truck will become something of a feature for a while in California.
Yeah. This thing, as they so put it. Oh, God.
Michael diving through that window is great.
Oh, yeah.
He just goes for it. It's fabulous.
And I love him, Lenny putting the sign on the back, California or bust.
Which is really sweet. That's so sweet. That's our luggage, Laverne.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
they trundle off into the sunset. Carmine's waving goodbye. That actually is a very poignant shot.
It is. It feels. We're gonna get to this, but it's like I think in depth. But like the sort of the headline I would write is, it would have been better as a season finale. It feels like. It feels like the end. It doesn't feel like a first episode of a new. Like it feels like the first episode of a new show. Not the first episode of a new season of this show.
Yeah. Ultimately, the big problem that exists with this is that this movie is that it takes too many episodes to reestablish the premise.
Hmm.
We didn't even finish 4 episodes in with them reestablishing this premise. It's going to take one more episode before we finally settle into a level of normalcy.
Hmm.
And it does take a long time for them to establish everything. So maybe if they had done that last season, but I think at that point they didn't know if they were going to get renewed. When they filmed the last episode, they didn't know what the move was going to be if they did get renewed, because they were battling New York versus LA. So it's one of those things where you don't know.
All good points, yeah.
So I'm guessing that's why they waited until they actually got the season 6 green light before they did this.
Mm-hmm.
They actually thought that they were going to get canceled at the end of season 6. When we get there, we'll talk about this. But that didn't happen. They ended up going one more season, even though everybody thought they were gonna 2 more seasons, even though they thought they weren't going to. They were gonna end it there. Apparently, Cindy Williams had a dream. That's where we're gonna leave it. For the moment. That pretty much brings us to the end. It pretty much brings us to the end of this establishing incredible variety.
That's our overview. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So at this point, I guess we can talk about writer-director notes. We have one guest actor we didn't talk about.
Yes.
Who has actually some cool notes, so we should get into that.
Go for that.
So this one, as we mentioned, we've mentioned Jeff. We've mentioned Jeff Franklin a lot.
Yes.
He's very prevalent on the show. This actually is his 9th episode as writer, with 4 more to go for the series, including the next episode. By this point on the show, though, Jeff was a producer and would continue to be one until season 8, which is about when he also made the jump to Bosom Buddies and kind of started bouncing around other projects. Trivia note for him today is he asked for $85 million this past year for his Beverly Hills home, which, yes, is the one that was built on the on Cielo Drive, because
oh man,
yeah, he bought that one.
Yeah. I would demand that land be salted before I moved in.
Totally.
Because Lord, yeah, do not want to think about what happened there.
Oh no, I've seen the pictures. I don't need to.
I haven't seen the pictures, and I never plan on seeing the pictures.
Good for you. Good for you. So, but new to the party was director John Tracy. Now, he was hot off his stint in outer space, helping his brothers defend the world against the Hood as part of Thunderbirds. He comes to Hollywood to start directing. That, by the way, is a joke about his name. He didn't actually have anything to do with it.
I'm trying to let...
I realized I needed to probably clarify that, rather, because I was, yeah.
Yeah, I was to say.
But yeah, he started out in the Electric Company during season 5, did a few episodes of the Mickey Mouse Club, jumped around across different documentaries, Disney projects, etc. And he then got a couple episodes of Making It, which was another one of the kind of Marshall-adjacent shows, I believe.
Yeah.
And this got him on the radar Secret Service of Gary Marshall, who then snagged him for 10 episodes of Angie in 1979, leading to him becoming one of the main directors for Laverne Shirley's 6th season. So this is his first of 5, with 4 more to go. And we got more coming about this feller. I'm starting to do the research now. In front of the camera, so we mentioned that there was one person we did bring up, which is the who's that guy that's there at 2 o'clock in the morning? That was Mitchell Lawrence as Ray, who gets to be part of that fantastic Laverne, Cheryl, Ray, Cheryl, Laverne, exchange.
Yeah.
This actually is one of 2 appearances for this guy. He will show up again in 5th Anniversary as a director, and previously he was on a ton of SNL episodes in 79 to 80, as well as served as an associate producer on multiple episodes during that time as well. He was also one of the leads in the one season of Roxy in 1987. He ended up on a couple of Night Court episodes and became a regular in soaps like Santa Barbara and Days of Our Lives.
Oh! Well, I've watched both of those shows. I wonder if I look closer, I'll recognize them. I'm going to look over IMDb, because I bet you I do.
While you're doing that, I can also say he was in the sketch comedy series Not Necessarily the News on and off around the 80s. And after the 80s ended, mostly he was getting guest spots, but we'll come back around to that on his next appearance.
Yay! So we shall.
But yeah. So first of all, we got to talk, what's our hello gag today?
There isn't one, I don't think. The boys are just there.
The boys are just there? Oh my God, you're right. How did I miss that?
We interact with the boys sitting at the lunch table. The girls come in.
And the girls don't even say hello. What is this, man? That's why I felt so uncomfortable about this episode. That explains everything. we're through the looking glass here, people. I need to really need to think about this. I need to figure out there must be some loop, and then it ties together with Jeff Franklin, and then it ties to Full House, and it has something to do with the entire Marshallverse and putting it all into jeopardy. It explains everything.
Thank you, Charlie Kelly.
So anyway, yeah, okay. Pros and cons then. Love the energy. Tracy is an interesting director. I'm having difficulties sort of grasping on to exactly what he's doing, but I like that it makes it's weird. It's more sitcom-y, but it makes the production feel bigger, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. He knows how to make the scope of what they are reflecting here, what they're doing here, feel real.
Yeah.
And he makes the apartment feel like a real apartment. He makes Knapp Street really feel like Knapp Street, like this neighborhood. He does a very good job. He does a very good job. I think he does a good job.
I think so too. Yeah, I will say that, like, as a director, I'm kind of curious what the talent would say about him, because it feels as if he's already part of the crew. And I mean, as far as I could tell when I looked him up, I didn't see that him having worked on this show before. So I don't know if he had some other connection with Gary or with other folks. I mean, was he a friend of Penny's? Was he someone who hung out at the parties?
No,
I mean, I don't know
either. I don't know how he got involved in it, but I do know that he definitely is going to make his mark on the show in the next few episodes.
Indeed. Indeed. I've talked a lot about the cons so far, so I don't feel like there's much I can add aside from kind of the nitpicking. Yeah, I definitely just feel like there is because of the fact that we've talked about this being a very emotional sitcom, the fact that this is understandably in the right ways poignant with the goodbye, with the montage, etc. But the fact that it feels, I understand they're trying to get people hyped up of, hey, we're going to move to California. Yay, we're moving to California. We're doing something new, blah, blah, blah. It feels, I guess I would have liked a little more nuance in life to that aspect of it. As in, or I guess I should say, maybe life is the wrong word. Introspection?
Emotion?
Yeah, emotion, yeah.
People should feel, in other words, they don't take enough time to feel sad about it. It doesn't feel like they're really processing anything. Well, the boys don't really decide to move until the next episode.
Right. And there, I think, and when we get to that, it's more of a logical jump for them because, that's the boys. The boys don't, they're pretty wandery. I mean, I'm not so, I wouldn't have been surprised if, they had gotten the spinoff where it was like Easy Rider, or the Incredible Hulk or something, just going town to town, aka just going across different parts of California trying to find the American, trying to find the, exactly, in the ice cream truck, trying to find the American dream.
Dream, man. Honestly, they don't decide to do that till later. Frank and Edna are already there and all that stuff. So they've already gone through their emotions. Mm-hmm. But the girls, neither of them are conflicted. Neither of them are sad. They just jump. Jump. They go for it. And in a way, it's admirable. On the other hand, it feels like homesickness doesn't settle in for them until a few episodes in.
Right. Yeah, that's the part for me that feels almost a tad awkward. Yeah. But again, this is, I think, the catch of being stuck in the format of the time where, you can't do non-episodic, more serialized content, as easily because somebody misses a week, then they're out of the loop and then you start losing viewership. And that's been, that used to be before, VHS and DVR and now streaming and downloads and all that sort of stuff. The issue with doing that sort, because I'm trying to think of, it would have been interesting to have seen like a 2 or 3 episode arc that actually, before they even leave, where it's them processing it and trying to find different jobs and, the cowboy bills, and like having, be able to flesh out these beats in this one episode in the Not Quite New York episode and flesh them out to where each beat gets its own episode. Or its own, that theme gets a chance to be extrapolated a bit. Anyway, that's, this is my usual broken record crap, but, it's a... And that being said, like, as I said before, I said to you personally, when we first watched these episodes, I didn't hate them, but I wasn't sure if I liked them. I was having a lot of trouble and feelings of ambivalence. And as much as I know some of that is just where I'm at personally, I'm kind of curious to see where I'm going to land as you're saying, like we finally get our foot down into normalcy, because it worked really well on the second viewing. And so when my second pass with notes, it worked. Yeah. I actually enjoyed it. And
I noticed that you didn't enjoy it the first time. You enjoy it more second pass though.
Yeah, it's like I said, I didn't hate it. It's kind of It's kind of like watching those. I guess here's what I mean. It's kind of like watching one of those middling blockbusters that come out today. You know, where it's like it's okay. You know, I will not name names. I'm not going to try not to be that guy that names names about those types of ones, because hopefully, fingers crossed, that will be one of their peers in another 10 years. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's the feeling though. Of like, I wish it worked. At the time I wished it worked better. It works better now, so that's good. But in any case, that's all. That's really all I have to say about the episode. Yeah,
it's quite a pivot. It's quite a pivot and it's quite a change. It works to me in some respects. In other respects, it feels too hasty. But all that intermarries with how I feel in general about the way they decided to do this move. And we will address that quite a bit more in the next episode, actually. But now it's ranking time, I think. Unless I'm nuts.
I believe it is a ranking time. All right.
You want to go first?
7.
7 for you. This is, 7.5 for me. Okay. I'm going to go a little bit higher. The montage really gets me. They do, the mix of emotion and the humor feels right. Everybody's reactions mostly feel right, except the girls. They should be a little bit sadder. I like that we're in the mid-60s now. There are worse ways to establish a new premise. It's not bad. It's not incredible, but it is essential viewing if you're going to watch the show to understand what's going to come in your way. So you gotta pretty much gonna watch this one if you're going to understand anything else that happens in the next 3 seasons.
Oh, so. Totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that is all for today, eh?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We're going to Canada. We're going over to California.
Going over California way. All right. Well, then, we thank y'all, partners, for joining us here for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, you can follow us on Twitter at Night After Night PC or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, YouTube. And, just get a hold of us and see what. Now, by the time this episode had gone up, there probably should be a top 5 of our season 5 reviews, basically meaning we did videos that talk about our top 5 favorite episodes of season 5, which we are still in the planning phases as we're recording this in here, May of 2022. And I don't know why I'm in this voice. I'm kind of stuck. I apologize for that. But in any case, we hope that you go take those videos a look-see here. Now, that all said, Lisa, darling, what do we got here next? I see a sign in the distance. It's, welcome to the Burbs. We're going into a Joe Dante movie? I need my reading glasses.
Tragically not. Thank you, Doug Dimmadrone. What happens in this episode is the girls finally make it to Burbank. While everything initially seems pretty peachy keen, they experience an earthquake and learn that Lenny and Squiggy are moving in next door, which makes them a little bit unsure about their move across the country. That is Welcome to Burbank, and that's our next episode.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I guess we'll see you there for this Burbank. Is that where them Hollywood pictures is made?
Yeehaw! They sure are. Bye, y'all. Remember, that sacred land, they never will let you on there.